You see, as human beings, our nervous system is hardwired for comfort, whereas the essence of what makes us, some would say our soul, is hardwired for growth. And it's managing that dynamic tension between how good a comfort zone feels and the innate calling of our potential that lies outside of that causes the frustration for most people and keeps them on that hamster wheel of mediocrity. So how do we unravel that?
You've been living in a dream, not the kind that's light and magical, but one that's warped and distorted, like a funhouse mirror twisting reality. You're trapped in the mirror world. The worst part, you don't even know it, but that changes today. Keep watching and you'll learn how to break free. Waking up in the funhouse. You reach for success, but it slips away. You chase happiness, but it flickers like a mirage. Nothing is solid, nothing is real. Right now you're trapped in a place where everything you believe is real is actually just a reflection of something deeper, something hidden. The job you stress over, the relationships that feel like a constant battle, the money worries that keep you up at night, these are just flickering images on the glass. They feel urgent, but they are only shadows of the real thing. And until you recognize this, you will keep reacting to illusions, forever running towards something just out of reach. This is not some abstract philosophical riddle. It's the condition you were born into. Every system around you, from education to entertainment to the endless scroll of social media, keeps you focused on the surface of the mirror. You see reflections, but not what's casting them. You see the shadows, but not the light. You are trained to believe in the images on the glass, to chase them, to suffer over them. And just like someone lost in a hall of mirrors, you turn corner after corner, thinking freedom is just one step away, only to smack into another wall. But there is a way out, and it starts with realizing the mirror world is not real. The great trick. In ancient traditions, the Taoists spoke of the uncarved block, the pure state of being before the mind carves it into artificial shapes. The Gnostics warned that the world itself was a prison designed to keep you distracted from your true nature. And modern science? Even it whispers the same secret. Quantum physics suggests that what we call matter is mostly empty space, a projection of deeper forces we barely understand. Everything points to the same unsettling truth: you have been fooled. The trick is so deep, so all-consuming that most people never question it. They wake up, go to work, worry about bills, check their notifications and fall asleep, believing this is all there is. They mistake movement for progress. They mistake repetition for growth. They mistake distraction for meaning. The mirrors are everywhere, reflecting back their own fears, desires, and limiting beliefs, keeping them trapped in an endless loop. But every now and then, someone sees a crack in the glass, a moment of déjà vu, a feeling that something isn't quite right, a dream that feels more real than waking life. These moments are glitches, small hints that the world you see is not the full picture. They are the first signs that you are waking up. The tale of Meister Eckhart. One mystic who saw through the mirror world was Meister Eckhart, a German theologian and philosopher from the 13th century. He was a man who challenged the illusions of his time, teaching people to look beyond appearances and into the truth of their own souls. Unlike others who simply accepted what they were told, Eckhart questioned everything, even his own thoughts. He understood that the mirror world wasn't just out there, it was inside, shaping how people saw themselves and reality. Eckhart spoke about detachment, not from life, but from the false identities people cling to. He believed that to see the truth, one had to let go of labels, fears, and desires. He taught that the mirror world feeds on attachment. It keeps you chasing approval, wealth, or status, making you believe that your worth depends on things outside of you. It makes you a prisoner of illusions, a slave to appearances. But Eckhart saw through this trap. He knew that the moment you stop identifying with these illusions, you break free. He once said, "The soul that is attached to anything, however much good there may be in it, will not arrive at the liberty of divine union. For whether it be a strong wire rope or a slender and delicate thread that holds the bird, it matters not if it really holds it fast, for until the cord is broken, the bird cannot fly. This is the secret the mirror world doesn't want you to know. You are the one holding the thread, all-consuming. It shows us our worst nightmares, not to protect us but to control us. It makes us feel flawed and incomplete. It whispers that if we don't conform, if we don't obey, we'll be rejected or abandoned. It uses fear to keep us small, to keep us compliant. The mirror world manipulates both fear and desire. It shows us shiny objects, promises of happiness, and the illusion of fulfillment. It convinces us that if we just achieve more, earn more, or look a certain way, we'll finally be complete. But no matter how much we get, it's never enough. It keeps us chasing, always wanting more. It dangles the carrot just out of reach, laughing as we run ragged trying to catch it. In Buddhism, this is called tanha, or craving. It's the root of suffering, the endless thirst that can never be quenched. The Buddha taught that craving binds us to the cycle of illusion, like a wheel spinning endlessly without rest. We crave approval, power, security, and love, believing that something outside of us will finally fill the void within. Whether it's fear, guilt, or a need for validation, the mirror world only has power if you refuse to let go. Eckhart taught that to truly be free, you must surrender these attachments, not by force, but by seeing through the illusion, by realizing that they don't define you. Eckhart understood that people are trapped because they look for themselves in the wrong places. They look at achievements, in relationships, in titles, in the mirror. But all of that is just glass, just reflection. The truth lies within. The truth is who you are when all the labels are stripped away. When you no longer seek approval, when you no longer cling to an identity, you find the real you, the one the mirror world can't touch. But Eckhart didn't just talk about breaking free, he showed how. He practiced inner silence, a state where all thoughts and judgments fall away. In that silence, he found a space beyond the mirror world, a place where the mind's illusions lost their power. He called it the ground of the soul, a place of stillness and truth. In that space, the reflections shattered, and he saw reality as it was. Look at Vincent van Gogh. He was a genius whose paintings are now celebrated worldwide, but in his own mind, he was a failure. Haunted by self-doubt and insecurity, he cut himself off from happiness and success. He saw himself as unworthy, his talent as meaningless. Trapped in his own reflection, he died believing he was a disappointment. Yet the world saw him differently. His paintings were masterpieces full of life and emotion. The tragedy wasn't his work. It was the prison he built in his mind. The mirror world made him his own enemy. It convinced him to see failure where there was brilliance, to see rejection where there was potential. It wasn't the world that broke him, it was his belief in his own distorted reflection. He couldn't escape the illusion, and it cost him everything. But this isn't just about famous painters. This is about you. How often have you stopped yourself from trying because you were afraid to fail? How many dreams have you abandoned because the voice in your head said you weren't good enough? How many times have you judged yourself more harshly than anyone else ever could? This is why the mirror world tries to keep you distracted. It fills your mind with noise, doubts, and endless thoughts, because the moment you become still, the illusion starts to break. Silence is the enemy of the mirror world, for in silence you see beyond appearances. You see the truth of who you are, whole, complete, and free. Eckhart was fearless in his quest for truth, even when his ideas were seen as dangerous. He challenged religious authorities and refused to conform to the norms of his time. He knew that the mirror world thrives on conformity, on people blindly following without question. But he didn't care about fitting in. He cared about freedom, real freedom, the kind that comes from breaking the illusion. He faced opposition, even accusations of heresy, but he never stopped speaking the truth. He understood that to break the mirror world, you must be willing to stand alone, to question everything, even your own beliefs. He knew that true liberation comes from within, not from the approval of others. Meister Eckhart broke the illusion by seeing through his own mind, his own reflections. He knew that the mirror world was just a game of shadows, a play of light and perception. He saw beyond the surface into the depths of the soul where no illusion could reach. His teachings are a reminder that the mirror world only has power if you give it power. If you believe the reflections, you become a prisoner. But if you see through them, they shatter like glass. And beyond that glass lies freedom, the freedom to be who you truly are. What causes us to believe the illusion? Why do we fall for the mirror world even when part of us senses that something isn't right? The answer lies in a trick so subtle, so convincing, that it keeps us trapped without us even realizing it. The mirror world feeds on fear, amplifying it, distorting it, until it becomes the greatest trick of the mirror world is convincing us that we are separate from everything else. It makes us believe that we are isolated individuals, cut off from the world, from others, and even from our own souls. This illusion of separation breeds fear, jealousy, anger, and hatred. It makes us compete rather than collaborate, judge rather than understand. It keeps us divided, distracted, and powerless. In Plato's allegory of the cave, prisoners are chained inside a dark cave, watching shadows flicker on the wall. They believe the shadows are real because it's all they've ever known. But one prisoner breaks free and discovers the truth. The shadows are just illusions cast by objects in front of a fire. When he steps outside the cave, he sees the sun, the source of all light and truth. But when he returns to free the others, they refuse to believe him. They're too invested in the shadows. They're afraid of the light. We are those prisoners. The mirror world is the cave, and the shadows are the illusions we believe in. We accept them as truth because they're familiar, comfortable, and safe. We're afraid to question them, afraid to step outside the cave, but as long as we cling to the shadows, we'll never see the sun. Another reason we believe the illusion is because it's everywhere. The mirror world surrounds us, from the moment we wake up to the moment we fall asleep. It's in the news, social media, advertising, and even in the words of well-meaning people around us. It's so pervasive that we take it for granted. We don't question it because it seems normal, but just because something is common doesn't make it true. The mirror world uses repetition to cement its lies. It tells us who we should be, what we should want, and how we should live. It defines success, beauty, and happiness, then makes us feel inadequate when we don't measure up. It shows us curated images of perfection, convincing us that our lives are lacking. It compares, criticizes, and condemns until we internalize the voices, repeating them to ourselves. We don't just believe the illusion, we become its echo. We become our own captors, policing ourselves to fit into the mirror world's expectations. We judge ourselves by standards that were never real to begin with. We feel ashamed for not being perfect, not realizing that perfection itself is an illusion. But why do we do this? Why do we betray ourselves for the sake of illusions? It's because the mirror world promises us something we desperately crave: acceptance. It convinces us that if we conform, we'll be loved, validated, and safe. It plays on our deepest fear, that if we are truly ourselves, we'll be rejected. This is why breaking free is so hard. It's not just about seeing the illusion. It's about facing the fear of rejection, the fear of standing alone. It's about risking everything we've been taught to believe for the chance to find the truth. It's about daring to leave the cave, even when no one else follows. But those who break free discover something extraordinary. The shadows lose their power, the illusions crumble, the fear evaporates. They realize that the mirror world was never real. It was just a distorted reflection, a lie that kept them from seeing their true selves. This is why the mirror world fights so hard to keep you asleep. It knows that once you wake up, it can no longer control you. It knows that when you see through the illusion, you become free, truly free. The question is, are you ready to break the mirror? Are you willing to face the fear, the cravings, and the shadows? Are you ready to see through the illusion and find the truth? The mirror world is counting on your silence, your compliance, and your doubt. It's counting on you to stay asleep. But you have the power to shatter the reflection. You have the courage to see beyond the cave, to step into the light. The illusion only holds you because you believe in it. Stop believing, and the whole thing falls apart. Are you ready to see beyond the shadows? Are you ready to break free? The choice is yours. Seeing beyond the glass. The biggest lie the mirror world tells you is that you are separate. Separate from other people, separate from nature, separate from the divine. This illusion of separation is what makes you feel small, powerless, and alone. It convinces you that everything must be fought for, that success means stepping over others, that love is scarce, and that you must prove your worth. But think about this. When you dream at night, do you ever question whether the people in the dream are separate from you? No, you accept the dream as real until you wake up. And then you realize it was all you the whole time. This life is no different. The reflections in the mirror make it seem like you are an isolated individual, but in truth, you are part of the source that created the mirror in the first place. You are not trapped in this world. You are the one projecting it. The ancient mystics knew this, which is why they didn't play by the same rules. Jesus walked on water, not because he was performing a trick, but because he understood the illusion of physical limitations. The Buddha sat beneath a tree, unshaken by the temptations of Mara, because he saw through the illusion of suffering. The sages and saints of every tradition, whether in the deserts, the mountaintops, or the depths of the jungle, found freedom by breaking the mirror and stepping beyond the illusion. And so can you. The first crack. Most people will never see beyond the glass because they are too busy staring at their reflection. They are caught in their own stories, their own worries, and their own identities, believing that these temporary shapes define them. They identify with their job, their past, their problems, and their body, forgetting that all of these are just shifting images on the surface. But there is a way to create the first crack in the illusion. It starts with a simple but radical realization. You are not your reflection. Let that sink in. You are not the thoughts running through your mind. You are not the fears gripping your heart. You are not the labels society has placed on you. You are not the past you keep replaying. You are something deeper, something behind the mirror, not within it. And the moment you start to detach from the reflection, the mirror world begins to lose its grip on you. The things that once consumed you start to look fake. The fears that once paralyzed you start to feel like a dream you barely remember. The emotions that once ruled you start to pass through like clouds in the sky. You begin to see clearly for the first time. This is just the beginning. Right now, you're still standing in front of the glass, seeing the first distortions, feeling the first stirrings of something deeper. The real escape comes next, when you stop playing the game of reflections and start moving toward the truth, when you stop reacting to the illusion and start seeing beyond it. The subtle distortions. The first distortions are subtle. They sneak in quietly, hiding in plain sight. But once you see them, you can't unsee them. They start like cracks in the glass, small, almost invisible, but undeniable. They reveal that everything you thought was solid is just a shifting reflection, and when you notice them, the mirror world begins to tremble. It creeps in when you achieve a long-awaited goal, only to feel an emptiness you didn't expect. It whispers to you when you're surrounded by people but feel utterly alone. It jolts you awake at 3 a.m. with a question that won't go away. Is this all there is? That feeling is not depression. It's not anxiety. It's not even dissatisfaction. It's the beginning of awakening. It's your true self banging on the glass, demanding to be seen. It's the first glimpse of the illusion cracking, and it's terrifying because once you start to see the distortions, the mirror world begins to lose its power over you. Every ancient tradition knew about these distortions. They called them different names, Maya, Samsara, the veil, but they all pointed to the same deception. In Hindu philosophy, Maya is the illusion that the physical world is the ultimate reality, keeping you trapped in cycles of desire and suffering. In Buddhism, it's called samsara, the endless loop of craving and aversion that keeps you reincarnating into the same struggles over and over. Even in Christianity, the Apostle Paul wrote, "For now we see through a glass, darkly, acknowledging that human perception is clouded by illusion." Modern thinkers hint at this too. When The Matrix hit theaters, it wasn't just another sci-fi movie. It struck a nerve because it felt familiar. The idea that the world is a simulation, a carefully crafted illusion designed to keep you asleep. Didn't it make you wonder? Didn't it make you question everything? That's because the distortions are real. They are the moments when the illusion slips and you catch a glimpse of the truth behind the reflection. The truth is that the life you're living is not the full picture, that the rules you follow are made up, that the limits you believe in are self-imposed, that the stories you tell yourself about who you are and what you're worth are just echoes bouncing off the glass. But seeing the distortions is only the first step. The next step is facing them. The fear of seeing. Most people look away the moment they see the distortions. They feel the crack in the glass, but they retreat. They distract themselves with work, entertainment, and drama. They bury the feeling under busyness and routine, convincing themselves that everything is fine. But it's not fine, and deep down, they know it. Why do they turn away? Because seeing the distortions means questioning everything. It means admitting that the life they've built might be based on illusions. It means confronting fears they've been running from for years. It means stepping into the unknown without a map, without certainty, without guarantees. And that's terrifying. This is why Plato's allegory of the cave is so powerful. In the story, prisoners are chained inside a cave, watching shadows on the wall, believing them to be reality. One prisoner breaks free and sees the fire casting shadows. Then he steps outside the cave and is blinded by the sun, realizing that everything he knew was a lie. When he tries to free the others, they resist. They don't want to leave. The shadows are comfortable. The darkness is familiar. This is exactly what happens when you see the first distortions. You are confronted with the choice. Stay in the comfort of illusion or face the discomfort of truth. Most people stay in the cave. They return to the familiar patterns, the shallow goals, the distractions that keep them asleep. But if you're reading this, you're not like most people. You feel the pull to see beyond the glass. You feel the call to step out of the cave. The distortions show up in other ways too. They appear as cracks in the stories you tell yourself. Stories like, "I'll be happy when I get that promotion," or "I'm not good enough," or "life is hard and nothing ever goes my way." These are not truths. They are narratives, scripts you've been handed by society, by family, by your own fears, and they are all reflections in the mirror world. The moment you start to question them, the stories begin to fall apart. You start to notice contradictions. You realize that your worth was never tied to your achievements. You see that your fears are based on past experiences that no longer define you. You understand that the limitations you believed in were never real. They were just shadows on the wall. This is why ancient wisdom always points inward. "Know thyself," said Socrates, because knowing yourself is the key to breaking the illusion. "The kingdom of heaven is within you," said Jesus, because the truth is not found in the reflections of the world, but in the source behind them. "When you realize nothing is lacking, the whole world belongs to you," said Lao Tzu, because once you stop chasing illusions, you discover the fullness of your own being. Right now, the mirror world is trembling. It feels like it is losing its grip on you. The reflections are flickering, the stories are breaking down, the distortions are showing through. You are starting to see things as they really are, not as they are reflected to you. This is the turning point. Most people turn back, afraid to shatter the mirrors that have defined their lives. But the bold ones, the seekers, the visionaries, they step forward. They face the distortions head on. They let the mirror world fall apart, knowing that the only thing that will be destroyed is the illusion. The first distortions are only the beginning. Beyond them lies a deeper truth, a truth that will shake you to your core but set you free. It's waiting for you, just beyond the glass. You might be surprised to know that the mirror world isn't just a spiritual concept. It's backed by real psychological evidence. In the 1970s, a psychologist named Philip Zimbardo set out to study human behavior. What he discovered revealed just how powerful the illusion can be and how deeply it can distort reality. He created an experiment known as the Stanford Prison Experiment, where he turned the basement of Stanford University into a fake prison. He recruited ordinary college students, randomly assigning them to play the roles of prisoners and guards. No special training, no real authority, just a costume and a label, prisoner or guard. At first, they laughed at the silliness of it all. They knew it was just an experiment. They knew they could leave whenever they wanted, but something strange happened. The longer they stayed in those roles, the more real it became. The guards started acting cruelly, abusing their power in ways that shocked even Zimbardo. The prisoners became submissive, beaten down, and hopeless. Some had emotional breakdowns, crying and begging to be let go, even though they could have walked out at any time. This wasn't just play acting, it was a transformation. Ordinary people who were friends just days before turned into abusers and victims, trapped in roles they didn't have to play. But why? How could they forget who they really were? The answer is chilling. They believed the illusion. They accepted the labels given to them. They let the mirror define their identity. The guards saw themselves as powerful, so they acted powerful. The prisoners saw themselves as helpless, so they became helpless. It wasn't the situation that trapped them. It was their belief in the situation. It was the reflection they saw and accepted as truth. The experiment was supposed to last 2 weeks. It ended after just 6 days because the cruelty spiraled out of control. It took an outsider, a woman who wasn't playing the game, to see through the illusion and demand it be stopped. She saw the distortion for what it was and refused to accept it as reality. Her clarity shattered the mirror. The Stanford Prison Experiment showed that when people believe in a false story, they live it out, no matter how damaging it is. They lose themselves in the reflection. They forget they are the ones looking into the glass. This is how powerful the mirror world can be. It can make you believe you are powerless, trapped by circumstances when, in reality, the power to break free is within you. You've worn labels too, haven't you? Maybe they were given to you by family, teachers, or society. Maybe you started to believe them. Labels like not good enough, failure, or unlovable. Roles like the responsible one, the troublemaker, or the people pleaser. But these are just reflections, just shadows on the wall. They are not who you truly are. They are part of the mirror world's illusion. Just like the prisoners in Zimbardo's experiment, you can walk out at any time. The chains are not real. The limits are self-imposed. The roles are costumes you were told to wear. But the mirror is cracking. The illusion is breaking down. And once you see the first distortions, you can never go back. This is the moment of awakening. When you realize that the stories you believed about yourself were never true. When you understand that the reflections were just echoes bouncing off the glass. When you see that the power was within you all along. But the mirror world doesn't let go easily. It fights to keep you asleep, to keep you believing in the lies. It will try to convince you that the labels are who you are, that the roles are your destiny, that the limits are real. You're not your own worst enemy. But by far the cruelest trick of the mirror world is that it makes you your own worst enemy. It whispers lies so convincingly that you start to believe them. It tells you that you're not worthy, not capable, not enough. And once you accept these lies as truth, you begin to sabotage yourself. You build your own walls, set your own traps, and limit your own potential, all while thinking the outside world is to blame. But the mirror world is clever. It knows that the most powerful prison is the one you build for yourself. It's the voice in your head that says, I can't do this, or I don't deserve happiness. It's the feeling that everyone else has the answers while you stumble in the dark. It's the hesitation to chase your dreams because failure seems inevitable. The mirror world convinces you to fight yourself, to doubt yourself, and to hold yourself back. And the saddest part, Most people never realize they're the ones holding the chains. Even ancient heroes fell prey to this trap. Achilles, the greatest warrior of Greek mythology, was invincible except for his heel, but his real weakness wasn't physical. It was his pride, his ego, his belief that he had to prove himself to the world. The mirror world told him that his worth was tied to his reputation, his legacy. He became his own enemy, blinded by rage and insecurity, leading to his tragic end. His pride cost him his life. Narcissus is another tragic figure. He was so enchanted by his own reflection that he wasted away, unable to look away from the illusion. He fell in love with an image, unaware that it was nothing more than a reflection on the water. He lost himself to a lie, unable to see the truth beyond the glass. His story became a warning, a symbol of what happens when you get trapped in your own reflection. The Demiurge's false world. There's an ancient belief that few people know about, one that explains why the mirror world feels so real and why breaking free seems almost impossible. It comes from the Gnostics, a mystical group that existed long before mainstream religions took over. They believed that the world we live in is a prison, not made of bars or walls, but of illusions. According to the Gnostics, a powerful being called the Demiurge created this false world to keep us trapped. The Demiurge is not the loving creator you hear about in religious stories. No, this being is a deceiver, a master manipulator who crafts illusions so perfect that we mistake them for reality. The Gnostics taught that everything we see, touch and experience is just a part of this elaborate illusion, a cosmic trick meant to keep us from realizing our true nature. They believed that our souls come from a higher realm, a place of pure light and truth. But the Demiurge, jealous of this divine power, trapped us in this false world, a shadowy reflection of the real one. To make sure we never wake up, the Demiurge filled this world with distractions, desires and fears, keeping us so busy chasing illusions that we never stop to question them. It sounds like the plot of a science fiction movie, but this ancient belief explains so much about why we feel lost, disconnected and empty, even when we have everything we're supposed to want. It explains why we keep seeking happiness outside ourselves, only to find it slipping away like smoke. It reveals why we keep repeating the same mistakes, falling for the same lies and hurting ourselves in the same ways. The Gnostics believed that the only way to break free from this prison was through Gnosis, which means inner knowledge or spiritual awakening. They taught that the truth isn't found in books, rules or doctrines. It's found within, hidden beneath layers of illusion. To discover it, you have to look beyond the mirror world, beyond what your eyes show you and your mind tells you. But the Demiurge doesn't want you to find the truth. It uses every trick in the book to keep you asleep. It fills your mind with doubt, fear and confusion. It tempts you with pleasure and distracts you with pain. It tells you that you're small, powerless and alone. It makes you feel like you don't matter, like your life has no meaning. But all of this is part of the illusion. The Gnostics believed that the Demiurge created not only the physical world, but also the mental prison that keeps us from seeing beyond it. This mental prison is made of beliefs, limiting, false and harmful beliefs that shape our reality. These are the beliefs that tell you that you're not good enough, that you're unworthy of love, and that you have to struggle and suffer to deserve happiness. These beliefs are the bars that keep you trapped. And the most dangerous belief of all is that the mirror world is all there is. If you believe that, you'll never question it, never seek the truth, never break free. That's why the Demiurge works so hard to keep you focused on the illusion. It keeps you busy with meaningless pursuits, filling your life with noise, clutter and chaos. It keeps you scrolling, clicking and consuming, numbing your mind so you never have a moment of clarity. But the Gnostics knew a secret, a way to see through the illusion. They practiced meditation, contemplation and self-inquiry, turning their focus inward to find the light hidden within. They understood that the outer world is just a reflection, a shadow of the true reality that lies beyond. They knew that to break free, you must first break the spell of the mirror world. They taught that the first step is to question everything. Don't take anything at face value. Don't accept the stories the mirror world tells you about who you are, what you need, or what life should be. Question your beliefs, your fears, your desires. Question the rules, the systems, and the structures that keep you trapped. Question the very nature of reality. The spark of divinity is within you. But questioning alone isn't enough. You also have to look within. The Gnostics believed that the spark of divinity is within every soul, hidden beneath the layers of illusion. They called this spark the divine light, the essence of truth that can guide you out of prison. But to find it, you must turn your gaze inward, away from the distractions of the mirror world. This is why meditation is so powerful. It silences the noise, calms the mind, and allows you to see beyond the surface. It's like wiping the dust off a mirror so you can see your true reflection. It helps you break through the layers of illusion, revealing the light that was there all along. The Gnostics knew that breaking free wasn't easy. The mirror world fights back. It pulls you in with temptations, overwhelms you with fears, and confuses you with doubts. But the struggle is worth it, because on the other side of the illusion is the truth of who you really are, beyond the false identities and limiting beliefs, the truth of your power, your purpose, and your connection to the divine. This ancient belief is obscure for a reason. The mirror world doesn't want you to know it. It doesn't want you to question the illusion, to seek the truth, to break free. But now that you know, the choice is yours. You can continue to live in the prison of illusions, or you can dare to look beyond the mirror. You can keep believing the lies, or you can seek the truth hidden within. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.